Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day from Big 12 Football Media Days, day number 2 from the Star in Frisco, Texas. On the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on our streaming YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero, live in Frisco. Spencer Dupuy back at the ranch up on our Huntoon Hill studios in Topeka. We are jam-packed today. K-State and KU were both here at Football Media Days. So, on today's program, you're going to hear from Collin Klein, the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, bottom of this hour. You're going to hear from Lance Leipold, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. Our Wildcat wrap-up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. That's coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour with Brian Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com. We'll do What Is Wrong With You. We'll do headlines, all that fun stuff. But we are so jam-packed today, we're going to jump right into it with the first conversation I had today. I was in the leadoff spot for one of the more in-demand interviews of the day here in Frisco. The senior quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats, Avery Johnson. Here's my conversation with Avery from earlier today. At the Star in Frisco, Texas, Dan Lucero for 580 Sports Talk with the senior quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats, Avery Johnson. Does that sound right yet, senior quarterback? Does it feel like the last 3 years have kind of flown by to this, your senior year?
Yeah, it seems like, time's just flying by. And, when you first get to college, the older guys in the locker room would say, man, enjoy it. It's going to fly by, and you never believe them. It happened in high school, and now it's happening in college for me. So it's definitely been a really good 3 years, but I'm excited for the fourth one.
How'd you spend the summer so far? What have you been doing to kind of relax and get your body, get your mind right for your senior season?
Yeah, so just with our new staff, we've been having a different kind of workout regimen and been doing a different type of team building activities. We have a golf league this summer where guys can get together and kind of build chemistry that way. And outside of workouts, inside of workouts, we've been doing a bunch of routes on air and a bunch of player-led stuff just to kind of get all accommodated to kind of new faces, timing and such like that. But been spending a lot of time inside and outside the building with each other and just making a lot of memories that way, especially in the weight room and out in the practice field.
I want to hear more about the golf league now. Who can play? Who's got game?
I know Wesley's pretty good. Simon, our kicker's pretty good. Travis, one of our defensive linemen's pretty good. Quarterbacks, pretty much everybody in the quarterback room is better than I am at golf. So pretty much everybody I've played with has been better than me. But I'm getting there, man. I'm coming along. I'm learning as I go. I've watched a couple YouTube videos, so I'm kind of figuring it out. But I have fun with it, and I think it's really good just to, anything I think we can do outside the facility to build chemistry, I think will just translate on the field. So
we're talking to Avery Johnson from Big 12 Football Media Days here in Frisco, Texas on 580 Sports Talk. Collin Klein, obviously, you had a level of familiarity with him before he came back to be your head coach. But now that he is your head coach, what's that relationship like? How is it different? And what are you most excited about getting a chance to work with him again and have him be your head coach?
Yeah, I feel like we picked up right where we left off as far as relationship-wise. And I think he does a great job because he's a really good leader and a really good people person. He listens to the input that, us leaders on the team have. We have about 20 or so guys that are on our leadership council that'll meet once a week, and he'll just sit in and if we have something that's come up during that week that we need to talk about, we'll talk about it. But he kind of just opens the floor up to anything you think us guys kind of see, because we're in the locker room and he's not, that could kind of better our football team. So I'm really most excited to play for CK this year just because he's a competitor just like I am, and whether it's checkers or a football game, I know he's the same as I am. I want to win in everything that I do. So I think having a guy like that with that type of mindset leading us this year really excites me. And you've seen the success he's had at K-State before he went to A&M, and even the last 2 years at A&M, and how explosive those offenses and offenses led by him have been. So I'm just excited to kind of get back to playing like myself with him at the helm.
What does that collaboration look like from your perspective as a quarterback, and not just a quarterback, but a multi-year starter, a veteran? You've seen a lot, you've experienced a lot, you have a comfort level with certain things. So how much collaboration is there, how much input is there from your side of the table when you're talking to Collin, when you're talking to the offensive staff about what you guys want to do on offense?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from my standpoint is just being able to communicate what I like and what I don't like, because I'm the one out there playing. And I think he has a level of trust in me, and I have a level of trust in him, where maybe if I don't understand something at first, getting out there and running it and trusting him and his football mind, and then maybe if we do it a couple of times and I still don't like it, I go to him and say, hey, I don't like this because of this. Is there any way we can fix it, or any way we can make it better? So it's always a growing process at the quarterback position, but I think his open to hearing my input just allows me to feel more comfortable and confident in what we are running and calling.
Avery Johnson is our guest from Big 12 Football Media Days here on 580 Sports Talk, senior quarterback for the Kansas State Wildcats. Collin Klein at his first press conference talked about the new old school. It's a cool saying. It's going to sell a lot of T-shirts. But what does it mean to you as a player on his team? When you think about the new old school, what does that represent to you, and how do you want to embody it?
Yeah, I think it just kind of just shows kind of how they were before and during the times that he played, and kind of getting back to that same type of mindset and just the culture that it was before. And I think, to me, like, what I just think whenever people ask us, like, one word to just summarize K-State, and I think it's just family and one another, each and one of us playing for one another, believing in one another, and just laying it all out on the line each and every day.
When we've talked to people, and we've heard people talk to coached you, who know you, every one of them has said that the toughest critic, Avery Johnson's toughest critic, is Avery Johnson. So from that perspective, as you evaluate the player you've been and the difference between that and the player you want to be, what's the thing or the things that you have to do in this senior season to get to that best version of yourself in your senior year?
Really just think it's my mindset, and I think when I attack games with a killer mindset and that I'm the best player on the field and nobody can stop me and the guys around me, I show really good flashes of the best quarterback in the nation. And that's the type of player I want to be and the type of player I want to get to, but I got to have more consistency on a week-to-week basis. But I think you can handpick games within the past 3 years where it's like he just looks like a different quarterback. He looks more comfortable. And I think just my mindset that I attacked that game with and fire, I kind of had, whether it was something leading up to the game or maybe the opponent that week, I got to find a way to bring that each and every week to really maximize, my full potential.
So obviously, media days before your senior season, so it might not be time to get reflective, looking back yet at the whole scope of your experience as a Kansas State Wildcat. But as you sit here on the precipice of your senior season, what are the things that you enjoyed most, valued most about being a Kansas State Wildcat? You made that choice going into your senior year of high school. You chose to stay in state. You chose to be a Wildcat. You've been a multi-year starter. Here you are at your senior year. What's been the best part, the most rewarding part of the experience so far?
I really just think it's the relationships I've made along the way. And, with how the transfer portal is, with our coaching changes, people come, people go. But I'm just super grateful to be able to be impacted by everybody that's played a part in my journey. And I think we've had really good coaches and really good players and friends and everything and whatnot that will really impact my life and be in my life for the rest of my life. And I really think relationships are what makes football, the game of football, so fun for me, and really being able to get out there and make fans' days and make fans' weeks, impact younger kids, stuff like that giving back to my community is important to me as well.
A couple more questions for Avery Johnson, senior quarterback for the Kansas State Wildcats here from Big 12 Football Media Days. You mentioned the golf game is a work in progress. I know you were a hooper in high school. You still got some game there? Do you get on the court a little bit, shoot around, or is that sort of a verboten for the quarterback to get out and get any run in on the basketball court anymore?
Yeah, I love basketball. I think basketball is the most fun sport I've ever played, and I love playing basketball in high school. But no, I haven't played basketball in a few years. I think guys will go out and go to the rec, or sometimes we'll try to get into the basketball facility and hoop there a little bit, but If ever there is a basketball in my hands, then I play a little different than how I did in high school. I'm not the slasher I once was. I kind of stay far away from the paint area and just shoot and stay as safe as possible because I don't need anything.
Like a smaller Nikola Jokic, very earthbound. You're playing at the high post, distributing.
Yeah, right? I can still pass. I can still facilitate pretty well and shoot threes, but my game's kind of switched, and my mindset on that has kind of switched a little bit than where it was a few years ago.
Who's the best basketball player on this K-State team?
Come on, it's me. It's still me.
Still you.
It's still me.
All right, well, who's second best?
I don't want to give guys too much credit here. God, I haven't been to the rec in so long. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I know Zayshawn Rich is pretty good. I know just from experience, Will Ansiow was a hooper. I hooped against him in high school. So I've heard MJ Graham is pretty. He can shoot, but I'm not going to give him too much credit because I was talking trash in the locker room before I left. But most of the receivers and DBs are the guys who I know go out there and hoop the most. I know Darian goes, but something about the linebacker hole. I don't think linebackers and running backs can hoop, and that's just kind of. I think they just play a little bully ball. So I got to see him hoop a little bit. I know he can play above the rim.
Last thing for you, Avery. Have you played the new CFB 27, or are you holding out till they fix your hair color?
Hopefully. I played I literally got on the game and I loaded up Sunflower Showdown. I played 2 quarters and my guy got hurt and injured.
Oh no!
So once he got hurt, I just turned the game off and got on 2K. So hopefully. I looked at the character outside of the game, and honestly, they got the hair color. I have a lot of hair. I kind of look like Troy Polamalu, but I think how much hair I have with the helmet on is correct. It's just the wrong color, but the color of the hair before you put the helmet on is like literally perfect. It's like a dirty blonde. I think it looks good. But I know they have a lot of guys and stuff. They have to kind of get right. I know the K-State fans are probably more upset than I am. Hopefully we can get it right for them, and hopefully we can get the speed up. I mean, I still think I'm the fastest quarterback in the nation, but what do I know?
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it in your senior season. Avery Johnson, Kansas State Wildcats, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days. Avery, always a pleasure to speak with you and watch you play. Looking forward to your senior year.
Thank you.
That was Avery Johnson. Spoke to him earlier this morning here in Frisco, Texas at Big 12 Football Media Days. We're just getting started on this Wednesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. As I mentioned, my conversation with the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, Collin Klein, coming up at the bottom of this hour. My chat with Lance Leipold, the coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. And my conversation, our Wildcat wrap-up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, with Ryan Gilbert. That's coming up as well. Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com will join me at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. So, lots of great stuff today here from Big 12 Football Media Days, but stay tuned. When we come back, joining me live here on Radio Row will be Kansas junior defensive end Leroy Harris. He's going to join me next after this timeout. We are getting rolling on this Hump Day edition of 580 Sports Talk. Welcome back to 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting wound up on this Wednesday, day number 2 of Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I am Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis back at our Topeka studios, keeping things on the rails today. We are now joined live on the program by the junior defensive end from the Kansas Jayhawks, Leroy Harris. And Leroy, I have to ask you, because it is 3:21 and you and I have both been here all day. You tired?
Oh, for sure. We start off with pictures. Early morning, early start. We got pictures, hanged out with a bunch of people, talking to a bunch of people. It's draining, but, you got to make it fun. You got to make it fun.
And at the end of the day, it's an honor, right, to get to be here, represent your school. Like, what was your reaction when you were told, hey, we want you to be one of the voices of our football team at Big 12 Media Days?
Like you said, it's an honor, just honored to be here. Just honored to talk so highly about our team and hopefully get some more supporters out there and just make people more aware that we're going to shock the world this year, yeah.
What has been, other than obviously this interview with me, what has been the highlight of your day?
Just thinking about going to London. I've been telling everybody that I want to do the double-decker bus. That was really what I was looking forward to. That would be the highlight. Other than that, obviously the simple stuff, just like the pictures and everything. Got the big old cameras, movie-type cameras and stuff. Seeing that, I mean, that's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. I ain't never seen no camera that big. Yeah.
You mentioned the Union Jack Classic. Let's go right there. You get to go over to London,
Yep.
The double-decker buses, the shepherd's pie, soccer, they call it football,
Yep.
All kinds of different stuff over there. What are you, other than the double-decker bus, what is most exciting about having that opportunity to play Arizona State at Wembley Stadium on September 19th?
Yeah, like I said, double-decker bus, number one, hands down.
By far.
Other than that, I would say just talking to interacting with people. Maybe get the cameras out, talk to somebody, interact, talk about some food, try some different foods, go from place to place on the double-decker bus. Go past some places, sightsee, talk to people, have a good crew, I don't know, maybe listen to some music, get to fully immerse myself in the experience, get some of the culture.
We're talking to Leroy Harris, junior defensive end for the Kansas Jayhawks, here live on Big 12 Football Media Days from Frisco, Texas on 580 Sports Talk. You're going into your second year in the program. It's also your second year in DK McDonald's defense.
Yep.
What's the biggest difference for year number 2 with the defensive coordinator, as far as your understanding of the concepts, his understanding of the talent that he's got, and how you guys communicate? What's been the biggest difference, the most positive difference at this stage, getting ready for year 2 with DK McDonald as your DC?
I'd say for me personally, I mean, I know who he is. I know what he expects of me, and he knows what my skill set is. He's going to put us in the best situation to go out there and succeed, go out there and win games. Obviously, at the end of the day, we want to win every game, but he's going to put me in the best situation to go perform and do what I do best.
That is get after the quarterback. He had 4.5 sacks last year. You're the leading returning sack man for the Jayhawks this season. What are you hoping to maybe add to your game this year, grow with your game this year, to give you an opportunity to get up in the upper echelon of sack artists in the country, never mind the Big 12?
Like you said, working in McDonald's defense, I would say obviously put some more pressure on the quarterback, get some more pressures. But on top of that, I drop back a lot, try to get a couple interceptions in there, a couple more deflection. I had 8 last year. So I would definitely say just continue to be more a versatile player, work on all the levels, maybe guard some little receivers, some slot receivers, cover. Just try to complete my game overall, on top of add the sacks as a defensive end outside linebacker hybrid.
Rushing the passer is a team effort. Can't just be one guy who does it. So tell me about some of the other guys there in your front 4 who you feel like have a chance to really explode onto the scene this year and grow their sack numbers as well for your team.
Man, I can go down the list. I'm excited to see everybody. Obviously, you got Blake Harold here today on the interior. You got Marcus Calvin. You got Alex Bray on the other side. You got some of the other defensive ends. You got Dekias Brinkley. You got David Santiago. I mean, I can go down the list, but we are really excited about this group, this front 4. And I feel like regardless of who got out there ain't going to be no drop-off. We're ready to go. And I really believe, and I think Coach McDonald really believes, that you have a good defensive line, you're going to have a good defense. And that's going to end up leading to a victory for us.
Leroy Harris is our guest, junior defensive end for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us here live on Big 12 Football Media Days here from 580 Sports Talk. It's your second year with the program, as I mentioned earlier. Just from a comfort level standpoint of being a part of a program for a second year, how much more comfortable are you, and how much easier is probably not the right word, but how much better is the process of preparing for a season, knowing what you have to do to get your body right, to get your mind right, to be prepared to play a Big 12 season and all the rigors that come with that?
I think it's definitely way, you said easier, but it's definitely better to be acclimatized to what you're going to go through on a daily basis, what the travel's like, what the trainers and everything to go with it, what resources I'm going to have, just things like that. That's really going to be leaps and bounds of what we're going to do this year. For me, knowing already being in the system, I know what things I can do, what I'm playing in this conference. Once again, I know who we're going to go against. It's things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to help us win more games.
What was the toughest road venue in the Big 12 that you faced last year? Because with respect to the games you played at Chattanooga, I'm sure it was different kind of road atmosphere when you got to the Big 12.
For sure. The few I did play, we'll compare to Chattanooga. The best game I played was at Tennessee their home opener. But in the Big 12, I'd say the best one was definitely Texas Tech night game. Night games are always different. Everyone loves a night game. Other than them, I'll say they're the one that stands out to me. I'll say Texas Tech definitely had the best environment with the fireworks, and shoot, they still had smoke on the field while we were playing in the fourth quarter. But that was definitely a great environment. They were throwing tortillas, and who doesn't love a good road game? I really enjoyed just everywhere we've been. Actually flying on a team plane, that was something that was new for me this year. I never had flown for travel. We always drove. We didn't have the funds for that as a lower conference team. But yeah, it's really been an experience traveling on the road this past year.
A little bit longer with Leroy Harris, the junior defensive end for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us live here from the Star in Frisco, Texas at Big 12 Football Media Days. You were a transfer from Chattanooga. You mentioned that.
Sure.
I've been curious about this, and I asked your teammate Cam Pickett this as well, because he also went through the portal. He was at Ball State, came to Kansas. Yep. So what happens to all the Chattanooga gear that you've got? So you get the team issued stuff, but you can't very well wear that around the Jayhawk facility.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, absolutely. But what happened to all of the Chattanooga gear? You hang on to it for later. You give it to family, friends. Where's all that Chattanooga gear right now?
I feel like other people can relate to me on this with the transfer portal nowadays, how it's blown up, and people every year we got record-breaking numbers in the portal. I would say that at some point you kind of hold on to it. You give some of the teammates that are going to stay there. You do different things with it. But for me personally, I haven't touched it since I left there. I've been a Kansas Jayhawk through and through since then. Maybe I'll pick it up later if I want to go visit or say, I had time here. I appreciate the time. But, yeah, it's pretty much somewhere back in my closet at home in Nashville. So, yeah, it kind of just sits there and collects dust. But maybe one day I'll take it out the closet.
You started at Chattanooga. You're a Tennessee guy from Brentwood, Tennessee. What do you miss most about home when you're not at home? What do you miss most?
I'd say just my family. Lawrence compared to Nashville is definitely a different lifestyle. Lawrence is definitely a little smaller town, not much to do. Maybe not have all the local chains and everything. Ain't got a Waffle House, things like that. We got Olive Garden. We were excited about that in Lawrence. It's just different environment. We got big Broadway in Nashville. We got a smaller version of Mass Street in Lawrence. It's just trying to find anything I can to bring me close to home, you know?
Sure. What's the best thing about Nashville to you? Like what's the thing that represents home to you in that way?
I feel like if someone was coming to visit Nashville, I would say like everyone goes down to Broadway. I'm only 20, so I really haven't seen the scene yet, but my parents and everything. Sure. I've been in Nashville long enough to know Broadway and everything and the bar scene. We had the draft there one year, but hopefully one day we can host the Super Bowl. That's what I'm really excited for. We're building a new stadium.
Yeah.
Hopefully the team can get a little better. Shout out to the Titans. Just drafted a defensive end actually this year in the first round. So hopefully we can make the turn with Cam Ward and everything. So I'd say the Titans and Broadway, two things that make Nashville.
Last question for you, Leroy. Will you be taking a Monster energy drink for the road when this long day is concluded?
Shout out to Monster. Hopefully I can get an NIL deal or something. Throw my shot out there. But, I might as well. I've tried every flavor today. I definitely got some caffeine running through the veins right now. Feeling good. But, yeah, I'll definitely be taking one. I don't know. I think the red, white, and blue one, I don't know exactly what the flavor's called, but I would probably take that one. That one's pretty good.
I'm going to have to take one. They don't charter the radio guys a flight, so I got to drive back home now. But I'm going to be mainlining one on the way back. Leroy Harris, junior defensive end for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us live here at Big 12 Football Media Days. Leroy, it was a pleasure getting to speak with you, and look forward to seeing you do your thing on the field 2026.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Leroy Harris joining us live here at the table, and if you can believe it, that is interview number 12 that we've concluded at the table today on Radio Row between the Kansas and the Kansas State contingent. That is my 12th concluded interview of the day. So that was a good time. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll set the stage for the rest of the day's show here on 580 Sports Talk, including the rest of the interviews that we're going to play for you here this afternoon. Text line's open, 785-272-9429. Want to hear from you if you are watching in the live chat today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We're back after this time out on 580 WIBW. Sports Talk on this Wednesday. Dan Lucero with you at the Star in Frisco, Texas, for the second day of Big 12 Football Media Day. Spencer Dupuis back at our Huntoon Hill studios in Topeka. I got to keep it all the way real with you, Spencer. We haven't heard your voice yet on the program. But Spencer, I'm tired, boss. I got to tell you, 12 interviews today. The 9 players, the 5-player KU contingent, the 4-player K-State contingent, the head coaches, Collin Klein and Lance Leipold, both of whom you'll hear from on the program today, and Gene Taylor, the athletic director at Kansas State. He also stopped by. We're going to play that interview for you tomorrow on the show. We'll bring you the player interviews throughout the coming days that we don't get to today here on the program. If you're just tuning in, you missed Avery Johnson and Leroy Harris, but you can always catch them on the podcast. But, Spencer, I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. I'm going to need one of those monsters. They better not have emptied those they better not have emptied the tank. Is there a good – what would you say is the good Monster flavor?
Look, I told you yesterday on the show I only had Monster like in 2019, maybe early 2020. The regular flavor did it for me. I don't know. But you're out there grinding in Frisco for sure.
Yeah, it's been I got here, doors opened at 6:30, so I got here at 7. So I want to make sure that we got everybody. And we did. Leroy Harris was the last one to talk to, so we've gotten everybody else today. And like I said, we've only got but so much airtime, and we're going to play those player interviews, all the other interviews we got from here in the coming days here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. But it's been a good day. It's been a good event, these Big 12 football media days. You didn't come here to hear me complain about how tired I am, but it is. It's a fun day. It's an exciting day. It's an exciting time, and certainly to have both Kansas and Kansas State here on the same day. Pretty cool to see all the Kansas media, all that purple, all that red and crimson, or crimson and blue, excuse me, and to hear people excited about football. That's you're still a ways away even from the start of fall camp and the start of the season, but there's just such a first day of school feel to football media days, all the way down to the way everybody dresses. Like, I don't know how much social media you've consumed from Big 12 media days yet, Spencer, but
not a lot.
If you get a chance to see Cam Pickett and Trey Lathan's suits, I think those were the sharpest dressed dudes in this building. Friend of the program, Shahan Jayaraja, a close third. But Cam and Trey had that stuff on, as the kids say, and they had the jewelry. They were looking exceptionally sharp. So best dressed awards definitely go to the Jayhawks today. They were no pendant playing their own personal highlights like Jalen Daniels showed up with 2 years ago to Jerry World. But no, they were looking good out there today. Like I said, we got a lot more content to bring you on the program here on 580 Sports Talk. We are once again off at 5:30 today for Royals baseball. You get a load of that Royals game last night, folks. They were down 9-4. They made maybe the worst play a Major League Baseball team will make all season long in the first inning, a 3-error Little League home run disaster piece that I can only describe as something I'd yell at 8-year-olds for doing. Honest to God, if I were coaching 8 or 9-year-olds and they made that play that the Royals made on that Carson Bench tapper to the mound, I mean, good golly, Seth Lugo won a Gold Glove 2 years ago. And who is Jack Caglione throwing to? I almost, honest to goodness, I saw that play and I said, I wish we didn't have media day today, because I would do an entire 3 hours just on that one play. I just want to. Yeah. I've watched it like 20 times.
I've watched it 5.
Yeah, it's my favorite sports blooper of the year, like by some distance. I love it so much. And the Royals won that game because for 3 days, 4 days really, because he didn't play on Saturday. Tyler Tolbert was the greatest baseball player in the history of the game.
Can we just put him in the Hall of Fame already?
His bat's in the Hall of Fame. He's hitting 380 now, something ridiculous. Go 12 for 12, hiked his batting average about 180 points.
He earned himself another day in the starting lineup, too.
Yeah, you can't sit him? Are you going to sit a guy who's 12 for his last 13? I don't think so. No. You know, we've come down on Matt Cotrell a little bit on this show, but even he knows better than to take that kind of a hot hand out of the lineup. The Royals won a ridiculous game last night, 16-12. They'll try to take the series from the Wobegon Mets tonight at Citi Field. 5:30 pregame, 6:10 first pitch right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So up until 5:30, we do have 580 Sports Talk for you. We got a lot of good stuff still to come on the program. Top of the 4 o'clock hour, Lance Leipold, head coach Kansas Jayhawks. He joined me earlier today. Always enjoy speaking with Lance. One guy with a D3 background to another guy with a D3 background, and Lance Leipold. So that conversation's coming up top of the 4 o'clock hour. Bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, it's our Wildcat wrap-up with Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com. He's here in Frisco. We'll talk to Gills at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. That Wildcat wrap-up is, of course, brought to you by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. We'll have 580 Sports Talk headlines, including KU's New Jersey sponsor, Jack Caglione in the Home Run Derby, and more. Plus, we'll have What Is Wrong With You, of course, and your interaction on the text line, 785-272-9429, and in the YouTube live chat at 580 Sports Talk. Before we get to Collin Klein, who is coming up next here. I do want to tell you folks about my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers. Seen a lot of jewelry around here today. Everybody's playing for a ring, right? That's what everybody wants at the end of a Big 12 season, a Big 12 championship ring. Well, if you are in search of a ring to celebrate a certain ceremony or any jewelry need, Calhoun's Jewelers is the place to go because they are going to treat you like a Heisman Trophy winner every time you walk in the door. They make the process of choosing your desired ring, pendant, necklace, bracelet, an easy process, a welcoming process. You will leave feeling like you've made a choice that will last a lifetime, and that's how it should feel, buying your jewelry with Calhoun's Jewelers in Topeka. All right, I've kept you waiting long enough. Earlier today, a couple of Colorado kids got together to talk some football. Dan Lucero, me from Centennial, Colorado, Collin Klein from Loveland, Colorado. Of course, he is the first-year head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, and I caught up with him in the tunnel at the 50-yard line here at the Ford Center, the Star in Frisco, Texas, to talk about his first season at the helm of the Kansas State Wildcats and what to expect from the new old school. Without any further ado, here's my chat from Big 12 Football Media Days with Collin Klein. We are live from Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas at the Star. Dan Lucero with 580 Sports Talk here with the head coach, the first-year head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, Collin Klein. And Collin, these are a little bit different than you remember probably having done these as a player back when they had these in hotel ballrooms, right?
A little different, but awesome adjustment and very excited to be here.
So what has this process kind of been like for you? I mean, we're catching you kind of early in the day, but going through the car wash and everything, are you kind of comfortable with just another thing that comes with being the head coach, face of the program?
No, I mean, it's great for us to be able to, again, share our message with our fans. Obviously the season's coming, and it's kind of one of those benchmarks too that, once the July 4th happens, that means the season's close and we're about to play some football.
You get a Monster Energy in you this morning, or are you an energy drink guy, or?
No, I don't know what it is. Caffeine doesn't do anything to me. I could take an energy drink and fall right asleep on this concrete. So, I enjoy coffee. I've had an energy drink at times here or there, but it doesn't really affect me.
I'm much more of a coffee guy, but they're not cutting the Big 12 a big check. So,
I know that.
Collin Klein, head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats. The new old school. You brought that up in your introductory press conference. It's a catchy. It's going to sell T-shirts. But you've got a team now on the field. How do they embody, or how do you want this group of guys in particular to embody that idea of the new old school on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis?
Well, I think it starts with the relationships in that locker room, and wanting to give everything that each one of us have for that guy next to you, for our program, and to be able to do something special that not any one of us can do by ourselves. And so I think in that process, and those values are cultivated, taught, learned habits. Everyone has it in them. It's, are they willing and are we willing to do and go through the process it takes to bring that out of each one of us. And that's the journey that we're all on, and I've been really proud of them of how they've embraced it.
No spring portal this year. Obviously, this is your first year as a head coach, but it's not your first year as a coach. So you understand how disruptive that spring portal process had been over the years. How much more fruitful do you think the spring was as a result of knowing that, all right, the guys we have right now are the guys that we're going to have. I don't have to worry about guys jumping in the portal, having to remake a position group or a depth chart. Having that spring and knowing there's no portal after that, how much more fruitful was that time frame for you?
Well, to be honest with you, that was not even a factor in my decision and of how we did anything. And we're going to make and become at Kansas State a place that people want to come to. And if someone's not cut out for it, if they can't handle the fire and they're not going to be able to handle the grind of what we're going to do, it wouldn't have mattered if there was a spring portal or not, because we'll go. There's enough guys out there that have that type of metal, that have that type of makeup. We're going to go find them. We're going to attract them, and that Power Cat is going to be a badge of honor that we're not going to shy away from.
Collin Klein is the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. You played at K-State. You were on the K-State staff. You're back now as a K-State head coach. In between there, you went out to Texas A&M for a couple of years, almost like a study abroad program. I don't think there might be people in Texas who say College Station is like a foreign country, and maybe not in a nice way if they were Texas fans, but you had those 2 years to be in a different place, different culture, different environment. What did you learn? What was the biggest takeaway that you had that you feel like will make you a better coach and a better head coach in the long run?
I think anytime you get out of your comfort zone and a known environment that I've known for a long time, I think there's a lot of benefits. I think there's lots of opportunities to grow very, very quickly. I think there's a lot of new things from just a recruiting, roster management, roster strategy, retention strategies, all of those things I think were elite that obviously had not been exposed to before. But I also think it also confirms a lot of things that you know and a lot of things of who you are and the foundation that has been successful for a very, very long time. And so I think on both sides it was a very, very unbelievable experience.
You come back here and Avery Johnson is your quarterback going into his senior season. No, Avery can be his own toughest critic. As you work with him and try and help him grow and be the best version of himself as a senior, what are the things that you emphasize, whether it's on the field, whether it's off the field in his preparation, to help him get to his best and be the best player he can be his senior year?
I think it's just, again, he and I getting back on the same page, thinking the same way as we build the plan and the offense around him. From a 10,000-foot perspective and then on a week-to-week perspective of just making sure he's in a position to play fast and truly cut it loose and compete. And you can't be thinking, you can't be processing, you can't be afraid to make a mistake. And normal growth process as a player, you spend too much time in any one of those areas, you're going to be in trouble and it's going to affect your performance. And so I'm excited for us to work through that together.
Up front on the offensive line, I think anybody who watched Kansas State last year would say that there were some ebbs and flows and some ups and downs for that position group as a whole. Going into this year, how do you feel about the depth of that group, the potential of that group, and where do you stand on that offensive line going into the fall?
Well, I'm excited. I think we have a lot of competition in a lot of spots, which I think is bodes well, right? Who exactly are going to be those five out there? I don't know, but I think with how the competition is progressing and how hard those guys are working, Coach Schmidt's doing an unbelievable job from that standpoint of preparing those guys. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out. I know we're getting better. I think we've added length, we've added size, which I don't got a drill for that. So I think we're doing good.
On the playmaking side of things, you have the returning starter at running back in Joe Jackson. You've got some experience back at the wide receiver position, but a tight end room that really ranks, I think, among potentially the best in the country. Garrett Oakley, obviously, tremendous experience. You got the former 5-star recruit in Lincoln Cure, obviously, as a part of that group. How do you envision that tight end group being impactful this year? What ways can that group of players really help your offense and be more explosive?
Well, I mean, just like you said, I think the depth, the variety of skill set, I think their strengths and weaknesses complement each other very, very well. They're going to give us a lot of flexibility in the run game, also in the pass game, and they're a very, very blue-collar, hard-working, tough, gritty bunch. So really, really excited to watch that come to fruition.
Collin Klein, the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, speaking with us at Big 12 Football Media Days from the Star in Frisco, Texas, here on 580 Sports Talk. Over on the defensive side, it's going to have a different look. Obviously, you've brought Jordan Peterson to be your defensive coordinator. You got a lot of new faces on that side of the ball. Who are the guys that you noticed maybe through the spring and even into workouts, team activities, emerging as the leaders, the guys that you think are going to be really the fulcrums of that defense this year?
I think two of them are here today. Obviously, Wesley Fair at safety and Rex Van Wyatt linebacker. And, we've a lot of, again, just like what I said about the offensive line, I think there's a lot of competition in a lot of different position groups. I think there's good competition in the secondary. I think there's good competition up front on the D-line. I think that bodes well.
Yeah, you go ahead and interrupt me for Brett Yormark. Yeah, you can do that. That's fine.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I think that competition bodes really, really well. who the leaders emerge. I think Travis Bates has done a really, really good job up front. Zayshawn Rich has done a good job in the secondary as an experienced player there. Gabe Power. I could go on. I think there's a lot of guys that are showing capacity there. How we continue to grow as a team and as a unit, that'll be for time to tell.
You need field flipping plays, splash plays. Sacks and interceptions are the big splash plays on defense. Wendell Gregory can obviously provide some of that juice as a pass rusher. You mentioned Zayshawn Rich on the back end. I really like that cornerback group of Rich and Donovan McIntosh. Yeah. You've got some experience at safety as well. Do you think you've got the opportunity? We all talk about offensive explosiveness, but to be able to make some splash plays on defense, help get the ball back and put yourself in good positions?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's Coach Peterson and I joke all the time, so the best coverage is a defensive end, because you affect the passer and get to the quarterback. So, I think we're going to be and be able to play very, very aggressive on defense. I think we're going to be able to affect the quarterback, which allows you to do a lot of different things in the back end.
Couple more questions for Collin Klein, head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats. Collin, like you, I'm a Colorado guy. I'm from southeast of Denver, Aurora Centennial area. When's the last time you headed back to the Centennial State?
Was there over the last couple weeks, or the last week or so, went fishing and four-wheeling in the mountains a little bit. Okay. So it was good to get home. What's
your favorite mountain spot, mountain town that you've had the occasion to visit?
Gosh, I like them all. I think in Colorado we've been down to Lake City a couple times down there in the southwest part of the state. So really dry out there now, all those wildfires. All the wildfires, we're praying for all those affected.
Do you do a lot of skiing, snowboarding when you were younger, or was that anything that you got into?
Not really. Only went once in my life.
Same here.
Yeah, I know people give me that look that you just
right.
Exactly
Same here.
No, it's all good.
Collin Klein is the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, entering year one on the sidelines in Manhattan after a tremendous career. And Collin, I want to congratulate you on the gig, wish you all the best of luck, and also congratulate you on being the first coach I've ever interviewed at one of these things who's younger than me. So thank you for not making me feel too old, but it's great to have you back in Manhattan, and best of luck in 2026.
Thank you very much. Anything I can do.
That was our own Dan Lucero catching up with the new head man for the Wildcats, Collin Klein. We'll wrap up this hour next here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy back with you, wrapping things up on hour one of 2 full hours and a third half hour of 580 Sports Talk today. Dan Lucero finishing things up at Big 12 Football Media Days in Frisco, Texas at the Star, and then he'll be en route back to the capital city where he'll be live in studio tomorrow. Got a big rest of the show on tap for you and pretty much the rest of the week into next week with not a lot of Royals baseball to talk with the All-Star game coming up. We'll have a lot of interviews. As Dan said, he interviewed 12 people today. We've heard from four, and we'll hear from a fifth and sixth. So half those interviews he hasn't played yet that we'll have over the next few days into next week. On the top of next hour, we'll start things off with Lance Leipold. Dan caught up with him earlier today. Then we'll have What Is Wrong With You, 2 new stories to see if they could beat the guy that went to the Verizon store and had his car stolen. He called the cops to the scene of a crime that he committed when somebody else stole his car. We'll have that later on. Ryan Gilbert from GoPowerCat.com comes on for the Wildcat wrap-up that's brought to you by Tallgrass Windows and Doors at the bottom of next hour. And then in headlines, a legendary pitcher announced his retirement following the season. The NCAA has opened a inquiry into Cincinnati football regarding Sorsby. Oh, yeah, KU has a huge deal for a jersey patch that's going to net a lot more than that Monster Energy deal. And then we'll have much more coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Again, Dan will have an interview next hour with Lance Leipold, the head man for the Jayhawks, and he'll get into a lot of things in that interview. And then, again, this is just the beginning. Big 12 Media Days might be over, but this is just the beginning of all the content that Dan was down there getting from Media Days. We'll have a bunch more tomorrow on the show and Friday and into next week, as it should be some fun. Again, we will have Lance Leipold to start next hour. We'll have more coming up as well next hour with What Is Wrong With You, the Wildcat wrap-up. Ryan Gilbert joins us as send prayers out to Tim Fitzgerald. He's still recovering from what he's got going on medically. But that will do it for this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Again, when we come back next hour, Lance Leipold joins Dan Lucero from down at the Star in Frisco, Texas, and much more next hour on 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Hour 2 of 580 Sports Talk for your Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. A jam-packed hour, another jam-packed hour of 580 Sports Talk coming up here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, on our website, 580WIBW.com, on our new app, the MSC Radio app, where you can stay connected with all your local info right on the palm of your hands on the 580 WIBW channel on the MSC Radio app with our new great ownership, the MSC Radio Group out of Hiawatha. Can't say it's so amazing to be owned by locally owned, and being able to walk in the door and see the people that own it every day is just so nice, and ask them direct questions about everything. That's just me talking about how much I love my job now. A little bit more than might have loved it before. Might I add, but always tune in on the MSC Radio app if you're out and about and you can connect it into your car. As Dan said before, I believe it connects with CarPlay, so that is pretty sweet. You can watch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We're inching close to telling you what we're going to do for our 1,000 subscribers, as we are over 1,000 subscribers on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Spencer Dupuy again here with you. Text the show 785-272-9429. We'll check those out at the end of our first interview and at the very end of the hour and into the final hour of the show. But nonetheless, we've got a big interview that Dan cooked up earlier with the head coach of the KU football squad, Lance Leipold. As he, down at Media Day, he got a one-on-one with the KU headman, and here it is.
Is at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I am Dan Lucero, speaking now with the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, Lance Leipold. Lance, first of all, how's your summer been so far?
Well, it's going well, going fast as always. You know, when it hits this time of the year, we know we're right around the corner getting things kicked off, but it's been good. Our guys are working hard. A lot of good things happening.
For you, how do you get away, reset just a little bit this summer?
Well, as a family, we got away on a trip here recently, and got some family time that way. We get out of town, and we got a few other small trips planned, and try to decompress a little bit, but stay on in tune with what's going on back home. Try to get in the office and get around the guys as we do, and then we'll be back in here later this month.
Do you ever get to turn the phone off, or does that stay on pretty much all the time?
I think I've gotten better with that. I think some of the things with our staffing and the continuity of our staff and some things, and guys are handling things, but every night you always kind of worry that you're going to get that call or what situation. And when you have 100 and some players plus 50 to 70 people in your building working, there's always something happening, whether it be something with someone's family and unfortunately a health situation or something. You're always getting alerted to something, so there is never really a true off time, and it's just part of the job.
Lance Leipold, head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days. Last 2 years, Coach, you guys have been close, real close. A play or two, a game or two, from being where you want to be, bowl eligible and beyond. What is the focus as you go into you go into last spring, you go into this fall? What is the focus as far as being able to get over that hump? Make sure you're one play better.
Again, you hit something there. We have to be better. We need to be better. That starts at the top with me, our staff. We got to find ways to, we say it many times, is we got to be at our best when our best is needed. And there's times where we haven't done that. We haven't made a stop when we needed to. We haven't converted a first down. We've turned the ball over. Those are things. And again, I think everybody in college football works focus on those things. I think the thing we've tried to readjust is different mindsets, more situational work and practice of awareness, more than ever, more competitive offense versus defense type situations where you're always kind of trying to keep score on a little bit, so there is a winner and a loser, and things like that. And we've tried to, whether it be in talks and walkthroughs, we're always talking more situational awareness maybe than we ever have.
Is it easier, maybe easier is not the right word, but without the spring portal, did you find that the spring process was maybe more fruitful for you because you didn't have to worry about guys jumping into the portal? You knew that the team you had in the spring is going to be kind of the team you had, and how much easier, I guess, did that make the spring preparations, and how much more valuable is the spring now without that portal window?
Absolutely. It was to me a big difference, and whether it be psychological or truly there with players, is you could see people are more engaged, being where their feet are at. Not to, and there's times, whether we want to admit it or not, that you're always kind of concerned where a young man might be when he has the option to leave. And when you're kind of going through that all the time of where's this guy mentally, who else is in his ear, is it rep related, is it depth chart related, all these different things. And with the one window, I think it's given us, it solidified some things in the right way that should help college football. And I think some of the other guys, my peers, would say the same thing.
Lance Leipold is the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk from Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. You've got three quarterbacks competing for the starting job. You have to choose a new starting quarterback this year with the departure of Jalen Daniels. You've got Isaiah Marshall, you've got Cole Ballard, you've got Chase Jenkins in camp. What are you looking for as far as one of those three to separate? Is it about play style? Is it about leadership? What are the traits that are going to be the most important for whoever it is who wins that job to win that job?
To be the most consistent day in and day out guy that'll give us the best chance to win on Saturdays and Fridays and whenever we're playing.
Sure.
But the guy that's going to show that consistently to give us a chance. And I think though there's not a lot of playing experience with those guys, they're talented guys. And the thing that we are proud of is that we've been able to retain those guys in this program. And sometimes people forget that. I mean, starting with Isaiah and Cole, they're well respected in the locker room. They have that it factor as leaders, as people, as competitors that we need in our football program. And again, whichever one becomes the most consistent will be the guy there. Chase, unfortunately, was slowed a little bit in the spring, and we'll see what he can do in the fall and making himself more prominent in this competition. But he's electric as well and has some athletic ability that can make some things happen. Andy Kolnicki returning to our program as a play caller, very innovative. I very much can see both quarterbacks or multiple quarterbacks, maybe all three, seeing playing time. Now, people don't like to hear that because then they're saying you don't have one. But I think when you watch what you can do and be creative with things, we're going to find ways to put stresses on defenses.
You mentioned Andy Kolnicki returning, spent the last couple of years at Penn State. How do you sense that experience was good for him and maybe evolves the relationship between you and him as head coach and offensive coordinator in a way that can help the offense be more consistent, more explosive?
Well, I can see a difference, and like a lot, as much as you want continuity and want things, Andy was privy to another way of doing things. And there's things that, again, that he brings to the table. Andy's a very confident coach. He articulates himself in a way that you want people to express ideas and thoughts and things that he went through at Penn State, the good and the not so good. And the things that they did, whether it be in the day-to-day operations, whether it be in recruiting, whether it be in other ways that happen in a college football program that you can evaluate, that he has given insight to. And again, I think he's seen some things about also that we do pretty good at Kansas that makes him feel comfortable when he return and kind of hit the ground running.
Offensive line, always important. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're deeper up front maybe than you have been?
Absolutely. And I've said I really think across the board is that from the guy that will go out there for the first rep, for the guy that may come in and spell him at any position, I think the gap is as close as it's been across the board in our program. But again, on the offensive line wise, it's going to be competitive. We feel we have some guys in there that have stepped up, guys that were in the program, maybe didn't play a ton last year, had really good springs, and then there's some of the newcomers that have come in and helped us.
Lance Leipold is head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. On the defensive side of the ball, you always need playmakers to emerge, particularly in the secondary. You had some losses there, but you do return some players at the cornerback position specifically. Who are the guys that you hope end up emerging there as your playmakers, your leaders, your real difference makers on the back end?
Well, you talk more on the back end. Again, I look at, first of all, if you say the second level, Trey Lathan's here, really challenged Trey to be, he's a really good football player, but to take more of the leadership role, and he's done that. We have a highly competitive situation at the safety position. Obviously, we lost Lyric Rawls to the portal, but I think we brought in some athletic guys, some guys that are solid in coverage. It's going to be competitive there with, Mason Ellis is a young man that's been in our program, has had trouble staying healthy. He's had a good off season so far. We're excited about him. Taylor Davis, Corey Gordon, Christian Pritchett, there are some guys there that have to be consistent but be confidently vocal in our defensive scheme. That's one thing as we made the transition last year with DK McDonald, is that he emphasizes, but we could never get fully where we wanted to. We weren't a confident enough defense to communicate in what we needed to do. And I think we've taken some really good steps there. I think you look at the corner spot with Jalen Todd, Austin Alexander, Saeed Gibbs, Roman Pearson's a guy that's come in and has had a really good offseason so far. It's going to be, like I said, the depth and the competitiveness, because we need more out of our secondary this year.
Leroy Harris and Blake Harold are here from your defensive line. Harris in particular really had a promising first year in a Kansas uniform last year. Who needs to go with him and grow as a pass rusher and make that difference on the front end so that you can always help your secondary with an increased pass rush?
Yeah, you mentioned, Leroy. It's what a great story. A guy we brought in last, May, came in June, really had planned on redshirting him, and he just exploded on the scene. He gained about 30 pounds, became a dominant player for us, and really had a great year. We're going to need a repeat season from him in that regard. Dak Brinkley's probably our next best pass rusher off of that. A young man now will be a redshirt sophomore for us. I don't know what we're going to call these guys with these new rules, but he'll be his third year in the program. Dak is a good player. Alex Bray, David Santiago are more on the other side that are more physical run players. We need all those guys as well as our interior pass rush as well. But again, as I keep saying, I feel like we're going to have that depth and the ability to keep putting pressure on the quarterback.
Last thing for Lance Leipold, head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Monster Energy branding is all over these Big 12 Football Media Days. Are you an energy drink guy, Coach?
Rarely. I want to say that is that there are been some times I've been more of a coffee guy through the years, but as we say, we appreciate Monster coming on board for this conference. I'm not in the weeds on what that's all about and entails, but I just know we added another patch to the uniform.
Well, hey, listen. I'm a coffee guy myself. I'm on my third cup already today, so I can appreciate that perspective, and I won't tell Brett Yormark that you're not.
But again, just like for your listeners, though, I don't know if you saw our jersey sponsor announcement today.
Yes.
with XRP and Topeka native Brad Garlinghouse, and it's such, Brad's been so outstanding for our program and university, and to have that come on board for Kansas athletics is a huge step for us and a nice jolt for our program.
Lance Leipold is the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joining from Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Lance, appreciate the time so much, and best of luck here in this 2026 season.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
That was Dan Lucero catching up with Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold down at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas. And hey, what he talked about there at the end was the announcement today from Kansas Athletics, that they have partnered with XRP, and part of their partnership includes a jersey patch on all of their jerseys throughout their whole athletic department. not just football and basketball, like the Monster Energy for the Big 12 regular seasons that the Big 12 has cooked up. So 2 new things entering the jerseys for KU this next season. It was great to hear him talk about that defense. It just seems like a defense that was pretty good last year, that was jumping up in parts, and they lost a couple of guys, but they gained a lot of good guys and a lot of guys that were already in the program under DK McDonald. And you heard it earlier with Leroy Harris when Dan was catching up with him live down at Frisco, that everything was just huge for him. The year jumped from him. He had 4 sacks last year. He's the leading returning sack guy, but a lot of guys other coming in there, and Trey Lathan decides to return to KU. And I just think it's huge. The biggest question, obviously, is the offense, how the quarterback's going to play, the new quarterback. But that is still something that has got to be questioned later on. We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll have What Is Wrong With You? As it's What Is Wrong With You time after this break here on 580 WIBW 580 Sports Talk.
Topeka.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
What the hell?
It's What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got 2 news stories competing today for What Is Wrong With You, trying to take down our current weekly champion, the guy who called the police because his car was stolen while he was in the process of breaking into a Verizon store. Needless to say, he ended up in a lot more trouble than the guy or girl, I suppose it could be a woman too, who stole his car. We don't know because the police don't know. Whoever stole his car got away with it. He did not get away, however, with breaking into the store that he called the cops to because, again, his car had been stolen. I think it was Paul in the YouTube comments yesterday who in takeoff of the old Verizon "Can You Hear Me Now" ads called this story, "Can You Arrest Me Now?" And I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to go with as the title of this story. But we got 2 new ones today. Spencer, yours seems pretty simplistic. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, we're going to go to Florida. This woman was angry about her girlfriend not wanting to get freaky with her in the morning. And she allegedly strangled the woman and performed a WWE-style choke slam before grabbing a pair of scissors and chasing her partner out of their house.
Oh, my God.
Takaya Sherman, 32, was arrested Sunday on multiple felony charges related to violent confrontation last month in her St. Pete residence. The 31-year-old victim told police that after she declined to engage in sexual activity, Sherman became upset and shoved her against a wall and struck her numerous times. The woman added that Sherman then choked her and slammed her into a couch. According to an arrest affidavit, an independent witness told investigators that she observed the defendant chase the victim out of their house and fall to the ground. Sherman is a convicted felon whose rap sheet includes 2 separate convictions for prior domestic assaults. She strangled those victims while beating them up. In one of the cases, Sherman texted her then girlfriend, bleep, you walk through this door, I'ma kill you, and threatened to put the victim in the dirt. She's locked up in lieu of $100,000 bond. Yeah, not so great.
Yeah, she's a real prize, that one. Wow. Okay, let's move on from that one as fast as possible. For my story today, we have something completely different and opposite. It is a Kansas story. We're going to the Shawnee Antique Mall, where an employee had purchased coleus plants, these colorful plants, and they were placed in planters outside the Shawnee Antique Mall. And then they went missing because a woman stole them. She's been captured on surveillance video stealing the plants right out of these planters. And according to employees, it's not the first time that flowers or even the planters themselves had mysteriously disappeared. Last year, someone they believed to be the same woman walked away with entire flower planters that were sitting outside the store. They zip-tied the planters down this year. And so apparently, again, a woman they believe to be the same woman who just up and took the planters last year just dug the plants out by hand and then drove away.
Wow.
Who steals plants? Who does that? Why? What is the motivation behind? I don't know. I would have to Google what a coleus plant is. I don't have that green of a thumb. I just, keep flowers alive in a flower bed and hanging baskets at our house. But coleus plants are very pretty. They're a favorite plant in Victorian gardens. They can be very colorful. I can Google pictures of them. They're pretty flowers. I can understand why you might want them. What I don't understand is why you would steal them.
Yeah.
Who just roll up to the antique mall and just decide, yeah, these are mine. The damn audacity of this woman.
Yeah.
And, this happened at the Shawnee Antique Mall. So decent chance, I guess maybe not a decent chance, but a chance that somebody listening knows this woman. And tell her to not do that if that describes you. Tell her to leave the plants alone. They don't belong to her. All right, who wins today? I'm leaning with the plant story. It's a lot more pleasant to comprehend.
Yeah, and I think just the fact that somebody's digging up plants is a hilarious story to me. Like, why are we digging them up?
Yeah, it's one thing to just walk away with the planters, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, yeah, you get the all-in-one. But she came back for more and realized, all right, they're wise to my planter stealing scheme, but you know what they can't do anything about? Me digging in the dirt, hauling these suckers away. That is nuts. Just terrible. That's a good story. I don't think it beats a guy who called the cops to his own crime scene.
No, that doesn't, man.
That's going to be a tough one, I feel like, to
it's going to be a mainstay for July.
That could be. I kind of feel like just the facts of it, the simple fact of he called the police to his own crime scene because his car got stolen while he was doing a crime. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to top. Can you arrest me now? Continues as our winner on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back on 580 Sports Talk, it's Wildcat Wrap-Up, which is sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. I'll chat with Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com, who's here at the Star in Frisco, Texas, this afternoon for this week's Wildcat Wrap-Up. But before we do that, I want to tell you real quick, about my good friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon, the locally owned best choice for the cleanest car and the brightest shine on the road, with prices at some points up to half as much as their competitors' prices in town. Great options for the unlimited wash passes and the express wash. If you don't have a ton of time, but you still want that patented Eagle shine, just get the express wash. Stay in your car, roll right on through. I know that's what I'm going to do next time I need a wash, because my son, who is 2, will love it because he loves the car wash. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon in Topeka. Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com, joins us next for the Wildcat Wrap-Up on 580 Sports Talk. Joined at Monster Energy Big 12 Football Media Days 2026. I don't know why I'm saying it, Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com. They're not paying me. But it is the Monster Energy Big 12 Football Media Days in Frisco, Texas. And I am joined by Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. And Ryan, not typically your beat. You're more the basketball guy over there at GoPowerCat.com, but you're cosplaying as Fitz this weekend. You went a long way, shaved the head, everything. So I admire your commitment to the bit.
I didn't put on 100 pounds, though. I really feel like I could be doing better here.
Hey, listen, you said that. If Fitz gets mad, he's going to get mad at you. He's not going to get mad at me.
A couple 100 pounds.
This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. This is Collin Klein's first Big 12 football media days as the head coach. Times have certainly changed since he was a player, and we used to do this in hotel rooms, and now we got the 18,000-seat football stadium that we're hanging out in for the 2 days. I guess, what have you been most impressed with when it comes to how Collin has handled everything to date so far, with being the head coach at his alma mater and just kind of going through this first off season, the spring, the media obligations? What has stood out to you about the way Collin has carried himself?
Well, just the love and the passion for Kansas State, right? I think any head coach is going to come to a new place and want to win, right? That's why you're there. But with Collin specifically, right, he bleeds purple, and his whole family, the whole coaching staff that you talk with, it really just permeates that. He lives Kansas State, and so for him to want to come in here and win, every coach wants to do that, but Collin obviously is really meticulous with what's going on, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good things said about Klein this week, and none of that is ever going to be a shot at Chris Klieman, the way he ran his program, but Collin is definitely, I would say, raised the bar, and I know Chris Klieman has a role on this staff to some extent, so yeah, it's been good having him around, and obviously the future is bright with K-State football.
It's an interesting year because the last couple of seasons, the first years of the 16-team Big 12, there were high expectations for Kansas State. It's fair to say they didn't reach those expectations. 8 wins 2 years ago felt like a disappointment, and last season certainly 6-6, not what anybody anticipated. So now you've got a new head coach. You've got largely a new roster, a lot of new faces on this year's team, and so accordingly feels like the expectations are going to be maybe a little bit lower for Kansas State, but historically that's kind of suited the program well, and for a guy like Collin Klein who remembers what that was like, winning a Big 12 championship as a player as an underdog. I almost feel like Kansas State as a program is back in a familiar position of having to prove itself as the underdog, and do you feel like that suits them maybe a little bit better, just the mentality that this program has had over the years?
Yeah, I know Chris Klein would always mention they'd block out the outside noise the best they can, but let's be real here, Dan. Like, you would rather be the hunted rather than the hunter, right? Or excuse me, I got that wrong. Backwards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say
Hunter
here.
rather than the hunted. Yes.
Right. And so, yeah, that's Kansas State is the epitome of a program that has made a living off of that, being the underdog. And you look at Collin Klein, really in 2011 as a player, that team came out of nowhere, went to the Cotton Bowl. Now, obviously, the expectations, the standard was kind of raised for 2012, but when he came onto the scene, it was really kind of a surprise to the league, and at that time was what, actually 12 teams? I know that's crazy to think about, but yeah, this is a program that kind of lives on that. And, you mentioned typically a new head coach comes in, expectations might be lowered, but, the baton has been passed, and it's red hot. Kansas State, the window right now to win, this is it with Avery Johnson being a much more mature quarterback. And you go back to last year, it was definitely, to say it was a disastrous season would not be crazy, but you go 5-4 in the Big 12. If that's the floor, if that's the worst season that Chris Klieman has, and that's the state that he leaves it in, for Collin Klein to come in and take over, that's not too bad. And so, yeah, you got to be better than last year, of course, but when you go 6-6, and that is the worst you have really outside of the COVID season, there's no reason that Kansas State can't come in here and compete with a first-year head coach.
And that's just it. Like, the health of this program, unless you're one of the true powers in the sport, an Alabama, Notre Dame, a Georgia, an Ohio State, you are not immune. No one in this sport is immune to an off year. Yeah. And if your off year looks like 6-6 with a winning conference record, that does kind of speak volume about where Chris Klieman left this program and what Collin Klein is inheriting.
Yeah, and you look at last year, what went wrong, right? You go to Ireland, and then you have 4 consecutive games in that stretch before a bye week, and games on Fridays, and just so many things. Dylan Edwards, the whole saga there off the field, and a lot of things went wrong for Kansas State. And hopefully, knock on wood, for Collin Klein, he won't have to deal with some of those things, and obviously injuries and stuff's going to pop up throughout a year, but you open up the season in week 1 in Manhattan, right? You have one bye week, all your games are on Saturdays. It's going to be much more of a normal season, and so from the get-go, you go out to Ireland and you lose. It just felt like the whole season was doomed from the start, whereas now you get to ease into it with Nichols and then Washington State, right? Hopefully, you can go into conference play unbeaten and then let the chips fall where they may.
We're talking to Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, from the Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Avery Johnson, senior season at Kansas State. And I think whatever you want to say about Avery Johnson, however you view him, whatever prism you choose, you've got a case. Whether you want to argue that by the numbers he's already established himself as one of the great quarterbacks to ever play at the school, yes. If you want to say it's maybe been a little bit disappointing that he maybe hasn't hit the heights that some projected for him given his blue chip status coming into Kansas State, I think there's probably a fair argument to be made there. The big question, it feels like, for Kansas State football this year, have we seen the best of Avery Johnson? And I want to get your thought on that. Do you think that we have seen the best of Avery Johnson, or do you think that we are about to see the best of Avery Johnson going into a senior season in what should be a scheme with a head coach that should fit him and his skill set a lot better?
Well, go back to what he did in high school. And, no, you definitely have not seen him live up to those expectations. And, whether it was he was in his own head or somebody was in his ears about not getting hit and not running it enough, I don't know. But not to say Avery Johnson's Lamar Jackson, but I think most expected him to probably be more lethal with his legs. And you look back at Collin Klein, certainly a player that did damage on the ground. And so Avery, yes, has a lot more to prove, especially when you look at the expectations coming out of high school. We talked about this recently at GoPowerCat, right? Like, yes, he's going to go down as, if he stays healthy, one of the statistically, the best quarterback in program history and break a lot of records. But have the wins been there? Yes, like we said, the floor has been high, but the ceiling, right? Kansas State has not got over that hump. And so, not to take a jab at any of the, previous coordinators or anything like that, but I think Collin Klein spearheading the offense is going to be much better, bluntly put, than it was with Connor Riley, with Matt Wells at the helm. And so this is where it all can come together. To say it would be a poetic story about a quarterback that was recruited by the quarterback's coach and he goes and leaves, comes back for one final season, maybe two with the whole 5-for-5 rule. But yeah, this is perfectly winding up for Kansas State to have that season. We talked about just a second ago, the window. It's not always going to be there. You can you're not immune to a bad season. This does not line up to be a bad season if all things go to plan, which revolves around Avery Johnson.
Obviously, it's a new-look roster around Avery. There's some returning players to get excited about, but in the area of the transfer portal, there's always fewer of those faces than there used to be. But certainly some excitement about some of the new guys. He's not here this week, but Wendell Gregory, the sophomore defensive end from Oklahoma State. He was the defensive freshman of the year in the conference last year. To have a potential game wrecker at defensive line, a guy that really Kansas State hasn't, with respect to, like, Toby Osunsami was good last year, but K-State hasn't had a game wrecker up front since Felix Anudike-Uzomah departed. How much of a difference can that make, and how integral is that to have that piece for Jordan Peterson's first-year defense?
Yeah, you mentioned Toby and also Chidi Obiizor. They're both off to Indiana, and so that's a pretty good endorsement for someone to go to Indiana. That being said, though, yeah, Kansas State's kind of lacked that game wrecker, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt type player in Manhattan, and so to get that from Wendell Gregory, if you want to win games, you're going to have to be disruptive on defense and make those game-changing plays. Football, at the end of the day, it's one or two more plays made by a team can get you over the hump, and so I did a piece on GoPowerCat over the last couple of weeks. It was a series, rather, of my top 10 incoming transfers, and Wendell Gregory was at number 1 on that list. And so you go look at the programs that were after him in the portal, the future, not just for this season, but as a younger player, the trajectory, what he can mean to this program for the next couple of years. But yeah, he's definitely going to be a player that can make the difference in a game, and he's one of many guys that come from Oklahoma State. There's a coach as well, Corey Patterson on staff, and so a lot of Oklahoma State flavor here. I guess I should have went and asked a question to the Cowboys about this, but no.
A couple more questions for Ryan Gilbert to GoPowerCat.com. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up on 580 Sports Talk, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors from the Big 12 Football Media Days in Frisco, Texas. Last year for Kansas State Athletics, football goes 6-6. Men's basketball, total disaster. Jerome Tang gets fired midseason. Women's basketball misses the NCAA tournament. Bit of a stirring run in the conference tournament, but a down year after the Sweet 16 the year before. Baseball doesn't meet expectations. So it was, by and large, a disappointing year for Kansas State Athletics. How much does the Kansas State fan base, maybe psychologically speaking, need a good football season, maybe even just the fast start? You talked about the non-conference. It's manageable. Nichols, Washington State, Tulane, all at home. You're not going overseas. No gimmicks.
Yeah.
It's 3 straight-ahead football games at home that Kansas State will be favored in. How far would a 3-0 start go towards restoring the psyches of a Kansas State fan base that kind of went through the ringer last year?
Yeah, obviously starting 3-0 would be great because that would mean you didn't lose any games that you're supposed to win. But moving forward, go take care of business, right? If you lose to one of the, Houston at home, for example, that might be the toughest game on the schedule. If you lose that one, you drop a road game at Arizona State, what have you. Okay, I think most K-State fans can live with that, but the frustrations, obviously, of last season with football and basketball, pretty self-explanatory, but over the last, 5 years or so with Chris Kleiman, it's going to Houston and losing to a Houston team that won, I think, 4 games in 2024. Losing to Tulane at home, who ended up to be, a good team that season. But there was always that Kleiman clunker, as they kind of call it in Manhattan. And so avoiding that loss, right, take care of business, win the games you're supposed to win, and just be a consistent, good team. Okay, if you're not a Big 12 champion, so be it. But take care of business against the teams you're supposed to beat. Let basketball, let Casey Alexander kind of just raise the floor. It seems like it's going to be a much healthier program. Just on the hoop side of, maybe you don't lose by 34 points on your home court in Big 12 play. I know it's a crazy ask, but I think K-State's going to come a long way just with the floor being raised with basketball and then hopefully, knock on wood, with football that, maybe you don't win the Big 12, but you don't lose just an ugly game. Army last year, right? As if that Iowa State loss wasn't bad enough, man. Go lose to Army and barely squeak by North Dakota, awful non-conference. So, it all starts with those first 3 games like you mentioned, but keep your foot on the gas because if K-State isn't 6-0, I wouldn't say that's a massive disappointment, but look at the first 6 games. You need to build some wins before the second half of the season hits.
Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joining us for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out at the table here at Radio Row, and appreciate the visit.
Absolutely. I'll do my best Fitz impersonations throughout the day.
I appreciate that very much. We'll have more from 580 Sports Talk from Big 12 Football Media Days right after this.
Back on 580 Sports Talk for the final segment of the 4 o'clock hour. And we're going to move some things around here, or I guess drop out of the media day coverage here with you for the next 7 or so minutes. But Jack Caglione, he obviously getting called up a little over a year ago, the June call up last year. And now he's had basically a full season in the big leagues, but he didn't start out the year very well. His first 54 games, he had an 89 WRC plus. In the last 30 games, he's at a 148 WRC plus. And with the boys being in New York for the series with the Mets, Caglione was able to get down to the MLB Network studios in Studio 21 with MLB Central. And he had a lot to talk about. He made an announcement. That announcement we will talk about in the headline segment. But the 23-year-old slugger joined MLB Central to talk about his mindset at the plate and the preparation that goes into each at-bat. In this audio here, courtesy of MLB Network and MLB Central.
And then after June 1st, you've gone from 236 with 5 to 289 with 9, doubled the ribbies, the production. Is there something that's kind of clicked for you? Is there an adjustment that we can get into side angle wise?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it was really just not trying to do too much.
Really?
Don't overextend yourself. Kind of got to forget about what their plan is. Of attack, you got to stick with what, you're looking for. So, not giving into their plan and just focusing on what you can handle and your strengths. I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of clicked for me.
So you're not diving in too deep on how they're attacking you.
Yeah.
So like you go and walk into a hitters meeting, what are you focusing on?
I'm a big percentages guy. I like looking at what they throw the most, what they throw with 2 strikes. Running into a couple teams who kind of flip the script on you though. And that's just, this is a game of adjustments. So making those adjustments are pretty important, but at the same time, I think the numbers don't lie at the end of the day, so tendencies are tendencies, so just kind of lock it in on that.
Do you move around in the box? Like, I tell him all the time, let's move around in the box. Now, we're going to see this actually go out the field.
Go with it.
But for me, like, to be able to do that, to go oppo and to go foul pole to foul pole, you kind of feel like you can cover the whole plate no matter what, as far as just your depth in the box. Cool. So that's probably been one adjustment. Man. I feel like these are the ones, especially as lefties, where they stand out, where it's like, okay, you gotten better. You recognize a little bit different pitch selections from these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I try not to change too much.
Right.
Where I stand in the box. Yeah. Because I feel like if I get on the plate, I feel like the plate moves away from me, and if I back off, I feel like the plate comes with me.
So then you can eliminate that, right? Yeah. So there's things you have to eliminate to be successful, I feel like, right? So you eliminate certain things, but it's kind of just like, for me, I like the balance that you have. Like, you got a little open stance. You see in the picture with 2 eyes. That's putting, sometimes we get a chance, we cut ourselves off. 1.5 eyes, I hurt you. But I feel like this is adjustment where I like you're tall and you kind of, you have the balance to be able to go foul pole to foul pole. Now, this is that 11 pitch at bat, June 9th. And when I saw this, it stood out to me because this is kind of where I felt like from last year to this year, you got called up around June last year. This year in June, this is a bat that I feel like can take you to the next level. Right? When that last pitch, you take it, but then it gets you, and I love that bat, but it gets you to this.
Yeah.
Right, so you took that 11 pitch at bat and says, now I'm locked in. You lock yourself in with that at bat?
For sure. He's one of the best pitchers in the game, and he has been for quite some time. So to have an 11 pitch at bat and to kind of see really all that he's got, being able to pick up the pitch shapes, the ball out of hand, I think, just served in my favor that second time around.
Again, that was Jack Caglione. He was on MLB Central today and talking about his approach and how he's changed over the season, and I think that was just some good insight from Cags about how things have changed for him at the plate and how he's been able to adjust midseason and really now just his first total year in the big leagues, and you learn so much stuff, and he was able to learn some stuff last year at the end, when he was called up in June that he put towards this year, but then he kind of slumped to start the season, and then as the weather got warmer, he got better, and now he's hitting his stride, and I think that's huge for Jack Caglione, and he made an announcement earlier today. We'll get into that in the in the headline segment, but he's been able to find bat to ball a lot lately, and he's been able to take guys deeper more than kind of probably anticipated after the way things started this season. So for Cags, I mean, his whole approach pretty much has changed, and I think that is huge for his, mentally as a baseball player. It's a grind of a year, right? So it's 162 games, and you get into a rut, and for a young guy, that can really, really hurt him. And I think that though he was able to change his approach, and he's got younger guys that have had success in this league. Vinny Pasquantino's there. He's got his ear. He's obviously got Bobby's ear as well, but I think that is huge for him. And then he can lean on a wildy vet like Salvador Perez, who's had such a great career of hitting, and so good that he's getting old, and they're trying to find ways to keep him in the lineup, obviously, being at first base and being a DH as well over his career when you look at those numbers. So overall, I mean, it's huge that, he's able to readjust his approach heading into this time of year and being able to look at the numbers go up. I mean, 89 WRC plus to 148 WRC plus for, won the first 54 games, then the next 30 games. Obviously something is right in his preparation, and he discussed that earlier on. And we'll talk more Royals baseball in the headline segment, as Royals coming up the bottom of next hour. Pregame coverage from the Royals radio network coming up at 5:30 as they get ready to go play once again in Flushing, New York at Citi Field, the horrible Mets, as they dropped a huge number of runs on them last night. Tyler Tolbert, the Mets are making Tyler Tolbert look like he's the greatest baseball player ever. We'll get into more headlines as well. Again, mention the new KU sponsorship deal, plus Jack Caglione's his big announcement that he made, and a legendary pitcher is hanging it up after the end of the season. Plus, we'll get a World Cup roundup as well. That's all coming up with more on 580 Sports Talk, the final half hour of the show, I should say, coming up after this break here on 580 WIBW. Let's get it final 30 minutes or so here, more like 23 and a half until we get you to Royals baseball pregame coverage from the Royals Baseball Network. They are in New York, Flushing, New York at Citi Field, taking on the Mets, trying to win the series tonight. First pitch set for 6:10 p.m. as the Royals, again, look for that series win after blowing out the Mets last night. Well, not blowing out, but scoring a lot of runs. It could have been a blowout, but Seth Lugo gave up a bunch of runs. They won 16-12. They scored 31 runs over their last two games. And looking back at last night's game, not Seth Lugo's best outing, but the bats were finally able to pick him up. He could only go 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 9 hits, 9 runs, 6 of those earned because of those unearned runs in the first, when Dan talked about it earlier on the show, when it was a error fest for the Royals to begin things. 2 walks while striking out 4, so not his best outing. We'll get into that whole thing. We'll recap their game and preview tonight's game and get the news from Jack Caglione here in a moment. Against the final half hour of 580 Sports Talk. Spencer DePuy with Dan Lucero en route back to the capital city from a successful Big 12 football media days where he caught up with, I'm going to say, 16 people at least. And what did we air on the show today? I think 6 of those. So we got 10 interviews left to be scattered out over the floor or over the next few days into next week. So stay tuned for those. Get at us on the YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, where we're over the 1,000 subscriber mark. We'll have hopefully a announcement next week about what we're going to do for that. You can also tune in anywhere you are with the MSC Radio app, available on the Apple Store and Google Play Store. Download that. You can stay locked in with information from 580 WIBW. Our show, 580 Sports Talk, again, 3 until 6, Monday through Friday. You can also hear Morning Agriculture with Greg, and sometimes yours truly hosting when Greg is off or at a convention. And then you can listen to our great programming throughout the day. Fortunately, you can't listen to Royals baseball on there. We are not the flagship, so we cannot do that. But download the app on the App Store, the Google Play Store. It is a great app, and you can also listen to our sister stations here in Topeka and throughout the MSC Radio Network. But if you're tuned in on 580 WIBW, the FM side, 104.9, on our website, 580WIBW.com, on the YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk. Thank you for tuning in. We're so happy to have you alongside today. Again, as I mentioned, Dan in or out back to the capital city. We'll have more interviews on the show tomorrow. You can get us in the text line, 785-272-9429. It's going to be a quick headline segment here as we get into it. Again, mentioned it at the beginning, the top of the segment. The Royals beat the Mets last night, 16-12. The Bats helped out Seth Lugo, who gave up 9 runs, 6 earned, and 4 1/3 innings. Daniel Lynch, the fourth, went an inning and a third, walking just 1. John Schreiber went 2/3 of an inning, giving him 2 hits, 2 runs, a walk. Beckway got the win last night officially, as he had a clean 2/3 of an inning. Matt Strom in the 8th gave up 2 hits, a run while walking 1, and Lucas Urseg had a clean 9th inning with nothing. I mean, I guess it was a 4-run lead. It wasn't a safe situation, but good to see him put up zeros, even though it is against the Mets. Offensively, Tyler Tolbert shined once again, going 5 for 6. He's just turned into the best baseball player alive over the last 3 or 4 days, and he earned himself another day in the lineup today. Homers came from Tolbert. He's homered in 2 straight games. Nick Lofton hit his 4th of the season. Doubles for Lane Thomas. He had 2 of those. Michael Massey had a double. Nick Lofton had 2 doubles. And Salvador Perez had a double. Lane Thomas had 3 hits along with Nick Lofton, 2 hits for Michael Massey and Sal Perez. The rest of the lineup each had 1 hit apiece. Carter Jensen, Bobby Witt Jr., the Jack Caglione, who we'll bring up in a second, and Isaac Collins. Tonight, it's a bullpen game for the Royals, or at least they'll have an opener. I don't exactly have the latest on that. I can check on that here as we speak, see if there's any information on what they'll do there. Looks like Steven Cruz is going to open the game, or it's just going to be a whole bullpen game. We'll get more on that when we tune over to Royals pregame here at the bottom of the hour. But the lineup for the Royals goes leading off. Carter Jensen batting 2nd. At shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. batting 3rd. First baseman Jack Caglione batting 4th. In center, Lane Thomas batting 5th. At DH, Sal Perez batting 6th. At second base, Michael Massey batting 7th. At third base, Nick Lofton. In left and in the 8th spot is Isaac Collins, rounding out the lineup. Tyler Tolbert back in right field. Going for the Mets, it will be Christian Scott. He is 2-1 on the season, a 3.49 ERA, 49 innings, 60 strikeouts, a 1.35 whip in 11 games. Their lineup is Ewing leading off in center field, Juan Soto in left batting 2nd, Bo Bichette batting 3rd. At 3rd, Francisco Lindor batting 4th at short. In right, batting 5th, is Carson Benj. Batting 6th is the designated hitter, Jorge Polanco, batting 7th. At first base, it is Jared Young, batting 8th. At second base for the Mets is Brett Beatty. And rounding out the lineup at catcher is Francisco Alvarez. Again, that's a 6:10 p.m. first pitch, as the Royals look to take the series win after winning last night's game 16-12. Jack Caglione made a big announcement today on MLB Central alongside with what we played earlier. Let's hear what he had to say about his big announcement.
All right, Jack, you got an announcement to make?
Yeah. I was approached, a couple days ago and got asked to do the home run derby, and I think I'm going to do it this year.
Go. Hey,
my dad throw to me.
Who's going to throw to you?
My pops.
Yes, baby. Let's go. He's going to be more nervous than you.
No, he's got ice in his veins.
Does he really?
Yeah. He threw in the fall league home run derby to me. Yeah. Now we're doing this one. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Congratulations. Nice. We look forward to that in Philadelphia. By the way, Jack's home runs have averaged 418 feet.
That was Jack Caglione announcing on MLB Network. He will, in fact, be in the home run derby. He is the 6th Royal to do so, and first since Bobby Witt Jr. was runner-up in 2024. Salvador Perez went in 2021. Mike Moustakas in 2017. Danny Tartabull in 91, and Bo Jackson in 89. That is the Royals news of the day, along with their lineups ahead of a 6:10 p.m. first pitch. Again, we're going to go to the pregame coverage here in just about 15 minutes on the nose in 3, 2, 1. 15 minutes from now, we will be in Royals Radio Network coverage with the 6:10 p.m. first pitch. Another deal for involving the Jayhawks yesterday. The Big 12 announced their deal where Monster Energy was going to be the official sponsor of the regular seasons for Big 12 football and men's and women's basketball. That will include a Monster Energy Big 12 logo somewhere on the court and playing surface, as well as on the jerseys. Well, KU has a groundbreaking multi-year partnership they announced today with Ripple, the leading provider of blockchain enterprise solutions across traditional and digital finance. The agreement, in collaboration with Learfield, an XRP jersey patch will be featured on all KU Athletics uniforms, making the first cryptocurrency, the first time a cryptocurrency will be integrated into the jersey of a major college athletics programming. XRP is a cryptocurrency that's fast, credible, and trusted, according to the release. It was developed to move money around the world in seconds at a fraction of the cost of traditional banking. Travis Goff said in part, quote, "This era of college athletics demands innovative, forward-thinking partnerships. Ripple recognizes the unique reach and passion of the Jayhawk community, and we're proud that they have chosen Kansas Athletics as a premier platform to introduce XRP to millions of sports fans. Having the XRP logo displayed on our Jayhawk uniforms reflects a shared commitment to innovation and excellence," end quote. Beyond branding across KU Athletics venues, digital properties, and event signage, the agreement establishes 2 long-term commitments to the university. Ripple will fund financial and technology education programs for KU student athletes and the campus community, covering both traditional finance and digital assets, and will expand its existing talent pipeline, connecting Kansas graduates to careers across the technology industry. The partnership was created in collaboration with Jayhawk Sports Properties, the locally based team of Learfield, the media and technology company powering college sports. Jayhawk Sports Properties is the exclusive media rights holder for KU Athletics. Heard Lance Leipold bring it up earlier. Brad Garlinghouse. If you recognize that name, that's because he grew up in Topeka. A Topeka native is the leader of Ripple. So there's a reason why he and KU got together for this. It's because he's a KU graduate, an undergraduate degree from KU, I believe. He got his graduate degree from, I want to say, Harvard. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to double check that right now. Or he got it. Let's see, before I double check that. Yes, he went to the Harvard Business School. He's the CEO of Ripple Labs. He's also worked at AOL and Yahoo in executive roles as well. So a well-traveled individual who wants to help his alma mater and the biggest university closest to where he grew up, obviously his alma mater. But that's the latest from KU and their crypto deal. I know Dan will probably have some thoughts on this when he returns tomorrow, but yeah, they founded in 2012. Ripple is the leading provider of blockchain-based enterprise solutions across traditional and digital finance. Their solutions span global payments, custody, liquidity, and treasury management, serving as a one-stop shop for moving, storing, exchanging, and managing value. Their stablecoin RLUSD and cryptocurrency XRP underpinning these solutions will allow Ripple and its customers to shape the modern financial system. So it's a guy who went to KU and wants to help out in any way possible in this college athletics landscape where anybody with money can be of help to their alma mater. And that's just what's happening with this deal. And I think it's a quite interesting deal. I don't really know how I feel like cryptocurrency getting into the college game is, but it's not just them finding a random cryptocurrency thing. Obviously, there is a huge relation to that with him growing up in Topeka and being a KU grad. Next headline coming up here. We mentioned that Cags was going to the Hall of Fame. We'll get back to the MLB as Justin Verlander has announced that 2026 will be his final season. One of the best pitchers in baseball history put out a statement that said, in part, quote, "I want to thank the commissioner for the incredible honor of being selected to the All-Star Game. The opportunity to attend once again is something I'll cherish, and it will be an incredibly special moment for me and my family. This season has challenged me in ways I haven't experienced before, both physically and mentally. I've always believed that as long as I can compete at this level, I expect of myself that I'll keep playing. I never wanted to retire because of a milestone, a number, or a date on the calendar. I wanted the game to tell me when it was time. Over the last several months that I've realized that time has come. While I'm fully committed to giving my team everything I have for the rest of this season, I've decided that this will be my last. It's fitting that I get to finish where it all started with the Detroit Tigers, the organization that drafted me and gave me my first opportunity. That in part from one of the best pitchers to ever do it, Justin Verlander." And just think, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer were on the same team at one point. Two of the best pitchers of this era. And the Tigers couldn't keep him around altogether for that long, but I'm just going to take a few quick looks at his career numbers. He's got an 81.8 career WAR, 266 wins, 159 losses, a 3.33 lifetime ERA, and 556 games started, 3,751 in the third innings pitched, 3,554 strikeouts with a whip of 1.136. One of the best pitchers of all time, gonna call it a career after this year. As we wrap up the headline segment, you know what time it is. It's time for the World Cup Roundup. As we are trying to get that to play. Unfortunately, we're going to get it to play now. Having technology issues here. It does not look like we're going to be able to get that to play. So let's just move forward with our World Cup Roundup. We're going to try one more time. Okay, here we go.
Open wide for some soccer!
World Cup Roundup, no matches today. Quarterfinals start tomorrow with France against Morocco at Foxborough at Boston Stadium or Foxborough Stadium. Spain and Belgium play Friday at Los Angeles Stadium, and then a doubleheader Saturday with Norway and England in Miami, and Argentina and Switzerland at Kansas City Stadium. That's your World Cup Roundup. When we come back, we'll wrap things up with a final word here on 580 Sports Talk before we get you to Royals baseball. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Thank you for sticking with us here on 580 WIBW 580 Sports Talk, and we'll have plenty more interviews to come over the next couple of days and into next week, as we're gonna have really nothing for a couple of days besides the MLB All-Star Game that is meaningless right now. It's meaningless anymore now that they took away the meaning to it. But final word for me. Discussed it last segment in the headline segment. You heard Lance Leipold talk about it. He's going to be all positive about it. And I was giving you the headline in the fashion that it was needed to be put out. But I don't know. I don't know about cryptocurrency coming into college football. Now I get this specific one. This is this guy who has started the company, and he is a KU grad. He's a KU guy through and through. He's a Topeka native. But cryptocurrency coming into college athletics, that's just got me very, very confused about where the next parts are. I get it. From what Lance Leipold said in the one-on-one chat with Dan, it seems like he's been a big supporter of the programs, that he's a guy that's been a donor before. Maybe this is how he figured out to donate in a different way that could get him and his company out there, and what he is pushing out there while also donating money. That's probably what it is, but it's very, very interesting to me as I left the commercial music up. I apologize for that. Didn't do it all day except for now. But that will do it for us on 580 Sports Talk. We'll be back tomorrow with more interviews from Big 12 Media Day.